Hey everybody, welcome back to part 2 of the Songs of Six Quick Start Guide. I'm Minya. Thanks for joining me. So we left off our base here. We had our really quick start, set up some fields and a small storage warehouse so that we could harvest in the first year. We managed to get 20 people, although that's probably going to climb a little bit. Hopefully not too much, because we have just enough food to get us to the first day of summer when we can forage for some more. Now what I've done is I've laid out some grid lines for what's going to be the city at some point. I tend to use stone roads. I don't like the way dirt looks, and I put these lamps, these torches, so the coverage doesn't quite overlap, but it touches everywhere. And the way that I do that, this was a tip I got from Severus. Shout out again. So if you start right here on the edge and grab a 3 square area and go out 12 squares, and then hold down the shift key and click on that square right there that's not quite on the edge, and that gives you the exact distance that you need between two torches. The distance is 12 tiles. So that's what I use to set up my basic grids. Now, I went ahead and started these guys out on gathering up this stone real quick because it's kind of in the way. I want to build a grid right here. But while we're waiting on that, I've set up my forester, and you can see the edge line of the territory that he's going to cut trees in just barely touches my road. I try to set this up to minimize the amount when I bring roads across, to minimize the amount of that territory that I'm going to cut off. So what's going to end up happening eventually, sometime down the road, is I'm going to end up bringing this road across here and this one across here, but leaving this untouched in the middle to try and get the most area that I can out of it. And I'll end up probably with 3 or 4 woodcutters in there, and I found generally that's pretty much all I've needed, at least so far. Once my city gets bigger, I'm sure I'll need more. But yeah, so we start off with the woodcutter, and I set up a quarry over here to work this area. I just needed to get this out of the way, because if I build over top of it, I don't get the stone. You get the trees when they clear the area, but you don't get the stone. At least that's been my experience. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a warehouse, and this is where I differ a little bit. One thing is I always use wood. As I think I mentioned in the first episode, wood is renewable and plentiful. So I always use wood, not stone. Stone it depletes, and you will run out of it, and it takes a lot of stone to build all the roads we're going to build. So I do a little 6x6 storage area. And I like to set them up like this. Oh, that was too big. There we go. So this is going to hold 1,200 units of something. So we'll go ahead and got it on planning mode. Go ahead and get that going. Speed it up. I'll try not to mumble too much. I tend to do that when I'm talking to myself and thinking while I'm playing. 5 days. Yeah, so far we're still on pace for making it to summer, so that's good. So just getting basic raw resources set up, and then the beginnings of our industries. And of course, they're going to gather all the stone before they build my storage for me, but that's okay because I'm going to do half speed. So they got everything out of my way, so I can show you. Oh, and this was a piece of stone that got mined out, and it took out my plan. So in planning mode, grab these 3 squares, go up 12, take out that one. Again, hold down left shift to delete one. And I just like to draw little rectangles like that. And then I immediately place the lamps. It's in planning mode. I keep it in planning mode a lot. And then what we're going to do, I'll probably have to wait. I'll try, see if it'll do it. Yeah, it worked. Flip that so it's that way, facing the stone. Probably should have done that down here too, huh? Okay, and then we'll speed it back up while we're waiting. 3 days of food left. Whew, it's going to be really close. So, while we're waiting on that, actually I'm going to slow this down just a little bit. So I want to go over the things that I've seen on a lot of the videos that I've watched so far. There's a common element. I'm going to call it the Walmart setup. And what you have is you'll set up fields like this, long and skinny, right? And you know, you have your grain and your fruit and your veggies and your mushrooms. And then this ginormous warehouse here. When I stamped down this print, it said it held like 6,000 items in it. Or 60,000, sorry. 59,000 and some odd. So people will set up this giant general purpose storehouse next to their throne, or somewhere around there, somewhere around the center of the city, and bring all their resources into it. And what happens is, so as your farmers farm your field, you can see how far away they have to travel. Well, you can see if I show you. So from the end of the field to the front of the warehouse is 55 tiles. Right? So they've got to walk from the warehouse 55 tiles out here, pick this thing up, and then walk 55 tiles back. That's just from the front door. Now once when they get in the warehouse, they'll put it anywhere. Anywhere that there's an available crate. Right? So, I mean, generally you might start out with, oh, look, this one's open, and they'll drop it there. But you can end up with grain here and fruit up here and veggies over here, and it's a completely disorganized mess. And as you can see, this thing in and of itself is huge. Let me do this. There, that's 35 by 40 tiles. Right? It's huge. So anytime anybody's delivering to or taking from this warehouse, there's no telling how far they have to walk to get whatever the item is out of it. I laid this one out here because this is another, people will tend to do these large square fields as well as the long skinny ones. But either way, it's still the same problem. You still have a long walk from one end of that field to the other. All right. And then they usually they'll set up a giant kitchen up here, and a giant tavern up here, and a big dormitory over here, and everything's big. That's why I call it the Walmart setup. Everything's big. So what I do is something a little bit different. Oh, that's my stone. Okay. So what I tend to do, is I set up my fields like this. So it's a C shape, right? I'll zoom in a little bit and show you. So here's my grain field. This is about the same room. When I did an 8 by 52 field, long skinny field, that gives you like 408 tiles. Now, again, the way that I lay these out with the 12 spaces in between each lamp, so you can see I've got 1, 2, 3 road segments, and then 1, 2 road segments this way, and I leave out this middle one. So we make this C like that. It's the exact same amount of space as an 8 by 52 field, but the difference is that my stockpile goes right here. My warehouse is here. This warehouse will hold 1,200, just like the other one up there, and I will set it up specifically for the crop that the field it is next to. So I'll set up one, copy. Oh, I was going to do that manually so you could see what I set up, so you could see how many there was. But the point is, the farthest distance from the corner of this field to the front of this warehouse, get out of the way, is, let's go to the line tool. "12 tiles. So at most, from door to edge, we're going to go 24 tiles instead of 110. Much more efficient. They'll bring their stuff back in a lot quicker. But what I set up here is I do this in this pattern. So I have grain, I'll have fruit, veggies, mushrooms. This will be my Globdian farm. So everything is, all these little storehouses are right around this square. And then you don't need to, oh, I'm still in line mode. You don't necessarily need to go big and do everything all at once. You can just make these little modular setups and then keep stamping them down when you need them. So the setup that I'm doing right here served me well for about a population of 250 people. Once I got to 250, I saw that, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Once I got to around 250, I started to see my surplus food dwindling down a little bit. So then I just built another one of these off to the side somewhere else. I try to keep them a little bit apart from each other so that you don't end up excuse me, with kitchens and taverns right next to each other. That way people have options depending on where they happen to be located at the moment. So this is all the bigger my kitchen will be. And sorry, I like to plan it with the lights in it, because once I get the metal smelter up and running, I don't even build the roads right away. I just build in the buildings and the farms and everything, and then I come back and do the roads after I've gathered lots of stone. So what we do here is I put a kitchen in here. I like to put walls and doors on my buildings, so I always leave one gap around the edge. And all you need I need something a little better than that. Okay, so this gives me the storage for my meals, and it gives me a cooking station. But as you can see, the efficiency of the room is only at 25%. So I like to fill it up with these auxiliaries wherever I can slap them down. And I try to leave space for people to be able to walk around. But now the efficiency of the room is 100%. And then I will typically, put a double door here, double door here, and then I put a single door on either side. That's what they'll end up being once they're built. So there's my kitchen, and then these two places right here both become taverns to support that kitchen. Now, until I get fabric up, I'll just build the taverns with tables in them, and I'll go ahead and suffer. You'll see this taverns have a coziness rating instead of an efficiency. How do I keep getting back to that? Coziness. And it's based on the size that you build it, and then you can... Oh, yeah, that's not going to work, is it? So in addition to tables, you can put in your knickknacks or carpets. I think the knickknacks, in my opinion, they just take up too much space. They get in the way, and people have to walk around them. So I prefer to do carpets. And if you just slap down some tables... Yeah, that looks about right. So that'll get me 16 people can sit there, and I'll go ahead and accept this blueprint. Eventually, when I get the fabric industry up and running, then I'll come back and edit this blueprint, and I'll put carpeting all the way around the edge. Any bare spot, usually start like with a two-piece right here to get these, because you got to do that before you do the outside, and try to get that coziness rating up as close to 100% as I can. Makes people happier when they eat there. Yeah, so this design gives me my kitchen and two of these. Oh, and there was one more thing that this design is missing. There would be one more storehouse right there. So that way I have... I'm just going to go and put this one in here. You guys know how to build a warehouse by now, I'm sure. So this way I have all my fields have their... There'll be a specialized warehouse for each one, including the Globdine farm. That one, though, I tend to put the meat here, and I put the pelts and the eggs somewhere else because I want to maximize the space for the meat. Although 1,200 meat, usually I don't accumulate that much in this one area. But what I wanted to put here was this one is for fish. And then we can put in... that looks good. That looks good. And you have to play around with the fish and keep your eye on the stock levels and the inventory. Well, actually, keep an eye on this to see if you need to put in more fisheries or less. But I tend to not mess with the numbers, to give you 2 workers by default. And fish don't recover as quickly as other resources, so I've been told. So I tend to not, if you add workers to the site, they'll overfish it. And then you won't get a steady supply of fish coming in. So this setup right here covers all of your meat, all 4 of the edible vegetables, and fish, and all of your storehouses individually are close enough to the kitchen that it works pretty efficiently. Like I said, this one little setup right here will feed about, with 6 cooks in here, will feed about 250 people. and these 2 taverns go along with it. And then that still leaves you some space. Like what I like are these little areas out here. I put a dormitory out here. I can put dormitories. Autosave. I can put dormitories in here, or bathhouses, or latrines, or whatever. But you got these nice little double wide spots out here on the corners that you can use for whatever purpose you want. So that is the way that I set it up. I hope that helps. Let's see where we're at back here. Are we done? We are done. This is all logs. 1,260. That's all any of my storage buildings will hold, except for this first one. So every one of these is 1,260 of whatever that is. And you will find that most of the time, your harvests will not overfill this. They will once you start getting to the point where you've got, I don't remember how it worked, but it was right around the point when I needed to build more farms that I got to the point where the storage was getting, food was backing up. If you get your ore industry up quickly and get your kitchen built quickly, food doesn't tend to back up in these, and it's like kind of just right sized. So that's what I tend to do. Oh, I should probably unpause that one. I hope this helps you in your game. Or if you prefer the Walmart style, then it works. It's just not as efficient. You guys have to walk too far. So yeah, the next one we'll start setting up some basic industries. This one, we're just getting the raw resources right now, and we're gonna have to bring in some ore also, and we'll start setting up furniture shops and show you what I do with the industries and how I lay them out. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.